Hello and welcome to episode 8 of the BrickFilmer Podcast, a podcast series where I answer your animation questions. Today we're going to be going over questions such as how I personally get ideas for my animations and content in general, 3D animation versus stop motion animation, how to avoid going overboard and coming up with animation ideas that you can't practically and realistically make, and a lot more. So, thank you for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and before we get right into the questions, I just wanted to mention today that we are sponsored. That's right. This episode is sponsored. And the sponsor of this episode is my free animation setup checklist. That's right, I can sponsor myself. There's no YouTube wall saying I can't sponsor myself, so I'm gonna do it. So if you want a free checklist to make sure you've done all the prep work necessary to begin making your animations. Why did I say recording? If you want to make sure you're all prepped to make your animations and make the animating process as smooth as it can be, then be sure to check out the link in the description. All you got to do is sign up for my email list and you will be sent the checklist through your inbox. So be sure to check that out if you're interested. And with that said, let's jump right into the first question, which is from Mini Motion Films. He asked, how do you come up with video ideas? Also, how much do you base your ideas off of how well they could perform as a YouTube video? That is a very good question because, yeah, that's a good question. So I'm going to start off with how I get my ideas. And I think how a lot of people get ideas. Usually, there's a few different ways you can get ideas. One is simply by just going about your day and just looking at different situations or scenarios or thinking of like silly ideas or stuff that you could correlate and connect and put into an animation. Does that make sense? Like, you piece together different aspects and different thoughts, and you use that to be like the starting point for your animation idea. An example of this would be, let's say, my Lego Star Wars blaster collision little brick film I made. That was simply just from my idea of like, wait, what would happen if two blaster bolts collided with each other? Like, what would actually happen? And so I just decided I'm just going to make an animation about it. And it's just simple stuff like that. The idea process, it doesn't have to be complicated. One of the ways I like getting ideas, instead of just waiting for one to come, is to simply, I started a routine of just almost journaling at night. It's not quite journaling, but it's just writing down random ideas you have at night. And just like, when I first started doing this, I just started writing random words and thoughts, like anything that came to my mind. It sounds a little weird, but that's where my lighting tutorial came from. That's where Smiley Face Dude came from. That, and I got inspiration from an old brick film that I found funny that made fun of the standard smiley face. And yeah, you just jot down random ideas. They don't have to be good ideas. That's the point. Like, you don't wait for the greatest idea. You just write down random ideas and you sit on them for a little while and go, okay, and then you just let your mind just kind of wander, in a sense, and just see like, oh, okay, what's another idea? Okay, that's an okay idea. Okay, oh wait, hold up. what if instead of this happens, and then I can connect my okay idea over here to this new idea. Oh, and that would actually fit really well. And you see, you just kind of build off of random ideas. And that's what I like to do. I haven't done that in a while, but I probably need to, because it's just a great way to get good ideas. I've gotten a lot of good ideas for brick films from just doing that. And I think it's great because you're not pressuring yourself to come up with a good idea. You're just saying, I was going to think of some random ideas, random thoughts, and see when I find a golden nugget, That's pretty much how it goes. That's at least how I do it. And I found, that works great. But also it's just, and I touched on this already, but it's like going about your day just with an open mind of like, could that be an animation? What if I took this funny moment, modified it a bit, added this element into it? Okay, now I actually see a story structure here. And it's just piecing together stuff is pretty much how you do it. You just piece together random ideas, random stuff that goes on, random memories, random stuff, and make it a coherent brick film. That's pretty much how I do it. Not much to it. And with the question of how much do you base your ideas off of how well they perform as a YouTube video? So I would say it is good to keep in mind of like, will this video actually do well on YouTube? Like that is healthy to think about that. Like you don't want to, if you're between two ideas that you want to do, but one's going to do much better than the other, and you don't really mind which one to make, then just do the one that you think would perform better. But if there's like an idea you have that it's probably gonna flop, there's no, I'm not getting monetized from this animation. That's for sure. Like, I would just make it anyways, because it's hard to tell. It's hard to gauge, especially for brick films, of like what's gonna pop, what's gonna flop, And I wouldn't worry too much about that. It's a good question, but it's not like a good first question. You know what I mean? It is good to keep in mind. But at the end of the day, virality is not predictable. It is to an extent, but it's not very predictable. So I would just make stuff that you just genuinely want to make, and then just do that, because that's far more important than basing everything off of views. But to your point, yeah, it is good to, like, for like tutorial content I'm making, like I am gauging like, how well would this do? But it's not like the deciding factor. At the end of the day, I'm just making tutorials that I know would help people. That's what I'm basing it off of. And with brick films, yeah, they're random. You don't know what's going to work with those. For like challenge videos, also pretty random. You don't know what's going to work. Yeah, it's hard to predict sometimes. If you have like a good outlier video that does good, you can make a sequel to it. Usually it won't get as many views because, it's a sequel. But yeah, it's a good thought, but it shouldn't dictate whether you make an animation or a video or not. And yeah, I think that's it on that. Hopefully that helped. All right, the next question we have is from Moose Kid YT. What a name. He asked, what is better in your opinion? Oh, here we go. Blender animations or stop motion animations? Oh boy. I'm gonna be blunt and say stop motion animations simply because they're just more authentic. They're actual Lego. Blender has its place, don't get me wrong. 3D animation is cool, but it's not real. That's not a hard no on Blender animation. But I just like the authenticity and the appeal that stop motion has. And just the fact that it's actual Lego, it's like all real. It also makes it just easier to make, in my opinion. Like there's a guy, he does stop motion, but he also does like Blender animation. And he was talking in the video, he's like, you know, I'm good at 3D animation and I like doing it, but I prefer doing stop motion more because like everything's there. The set's there, the Lego's there. I can touch everything. I can see what works. Whereas with Blender, you just have to start from scratch. You know, with a cube, the blank cube, and you have to really imagine it before it's there. Whereas with Lego, it's just a matter of building a set and already seeing the whole entire layout before you start animating. So there's different aspects to it, both in the final product and in the creation side of it. I don't have much experience with Blender. I've tried. I'm probably not gonna try again because it's complicated to say the least. So yeah, I like making stop motions more, and I enjoy watching stop motions more. But if you have a different opinion, just go ahead and leave a comment. Go ahead and start a debate in the comments. We'll just do that. All right, the next question is also from Moose Kid YT. You know, episode 6, we had Eamon Studios have 2 questions back to back. Episode 7, we had Wolsey the Fish have 2 questions. And now we got Moose Kid. He's got 2 questions on this episode. How long will this streak go on? I don't plan for this. It's just some people just ask 2 questions, and I'm just like, oh, they're 2 good questions. Okay, I'll answer them. Okay, he asked, how do I get better at voice acting? All right, here's what I want you to do. I want you to watch my tutorial. That's it. That's all I got. No, I'm just kidding. Like, watch the tutorial. That'll cover the broad spectrum of it, and some good tips as well for animating and stuff. But any extra tips I have for voice acting would be try to actually be in character when you're voice acting. Like, think about your character, think about his personality, all that good stuff, and really try to, like, not do, like, your normal voice, and, like, even more importantly, don't mumble, because that's, like, no matter how good a mic you have, mumbling is just going to make it horrible. So you're going to want to talk kind of like this, and, you know, just louder than your typical speaking voice is preferred, because these are Legos. The only expression they have is from a plastic face and your animation skills, so you're going to want to have a lot of personality in the voice lines to really capture the character and what he's feeling and all that good stuff. So really put emphasis in adding more volume to your voice lines, getting in character. Also, like, a tip my brother likes to use is to, like, hold your minifigure that you're voice acting for. Hold your minifigure while you're voice acting. This little strange, I know, but it helps you to like actually see this character and go like, okay, this is how he's gonna sound in this scene. This is how he's gonna act here. Okay, I got the voice. I got it. You know, it helps a lot. And yeah. But yeah, go watch my tutorial. Go check it out. Yeah. Okay. The next question is from Barley Ministry. He asked, have you considered making Bible Lego stop motions? Go Chatter Studios does a great job with that. Alright, so I've actually thought about it before. Not like too much, but just enough to realize that I really enjoy making silly animations, if you couldn't tell already. I like making silly animations. And I've yet to see where I can I've yet to fully see where I can use my silly animation style and blend that into an actual Bible story. I did a live stream the other day, and we were actually on this subject, and somebody coined the idea of their, did I say idea? Oh goodness. Somebody coined the idea, and they're like, when you could make stop motions that are kind of similar to like VeggieTales and like how they do stuff. I'm like, that's not a bad idea. I didn't see that before. I'm a VeggieTales fanatic. No, not a fanatic. I just really like VeggieTales. But it's like, okay, I could see that actually. And I've yet to fully see like where I can actually do this realistically, because Bible stories are usually pretty large scale. Think Moses parting the Red Sea, like think David and Goliath, think Jonah. Like I am not building a whale. Yeah, I'm not doing that. The inside of a whale, it's a lot of pink or red, however you want to do it. But they're pretty large scale and they would take a lot of commitment. So I don't know. I'll keep that in the back burner and see a good story plot based around the Bible story. Yeah, it's definitely, that would be cool to do for sure. I've just yet to see where I could do it. So definitely considering it. All right, the next question we have is from Rai Starface. Yeah. Okay, he asked, best way to keep sets and minifigures clean / workspace and tools, and how and what to animate for tests to sharpen your skills to truly improve your animations consistently. Great questions. I actually didn't catch that last question until I just read it. But for the first question, I am not the greatest at organizing Lego. Like, I have like IKEA bins and like shelves for those bins and keep my Legos sorted by color. And if they're like minifigure items, I keep a bin for that. If they're transparent pieces, I'll keep a bin for that. And simple stuff like that. But outside of that, let's just say my animation table is not the cleanliest. It's anyways. But I got like a shelf for Lego sets and stuff like that. I got a shelf for my camera stuff. And I have dedicated shelves for stuff and different bins to keep things organized. But outside of that, that's pretty much all I do. So yeah, I don't really keep my minifigures too clean. Like I used to a couple years back. I still have it, but I don't use it. Like this little brush that I just sweep the set with, because I was so like adamant on removing every speck of dust from my set and all that, like being very like a perfectionist with it. But now I'm just like, I don't know. It's fine. It's there. I get a hair on my minifigure every now and then. It's fine. It just validates that it's stop motion, not, AI or stuff, anything like that. It's fine. It's realistic. So, yeah, you can tell how clearly I am with that. But to answer your second question, test animations to improve your skills. That is a very good question, because not a lot of people ask that. that, like, not a lot of people arrive to that, like, statement of, like, oh, wait, I just need to do test animations of, like, difficult things so that I can learn how to do it and apply it to my bigger animations. And, yeah, that's really cool. So, it really depends, like, what test animations to do. It really depends from person to person. But I would say just think of animations that you, like, specifically avoid. Like, let's see. You're pretty good at, like, mid-air stuff. Like, yeah, you've proved that you're really good at that. I'm trying to think here. Maybe, like, I'm trying to think. You're really good at a lot of animation stuff. But maybe a scene where you have camera movement mixed with an a minifigure doing a stunt in midair, and something where you really have to get the timing right, and you just do that animation over and over again until you get it just right. And that'll be a bit time consuming, but you'll learn a lot and understand a bit more. But just doing difficult stuff that you don't really want to do, because there's a reason you don't want to do it. It's because you're not that familiar with it, and you've never done it before. Like, for me, that would be really just like a lot of camera movement, because I just do very basic camera movement because of my clunky camera I use. But once I get a webcam, I'm gonna practice a lot with camera movement and different action scenes like that. But yeah, like, think about different camera movement you avoid. Is it like an overhead shot that comes down into an eye level shot with the minifigures? Just think of, like, stuff that would be very difficult to do, and then just master it. And once you do that, you mastered it. It's good. You know how to do it. So it's another tool in your tool belt for making animations. That's what I would say with that. I don't really have anything else to add to that. It's pretty simple. Just do hard things. That's pretty much it. Let's see. The next question we have is from, man, I'm going pretty quick with these questions. Anyways, Monkey Maniac. Wow. There you have it. He asked, how do you balance scope creep in animations? I find in my animations that my original idea for a video usually balloons way past what I could reasonably animate in the time I want to do it. Or the video that I end up making is bigger than my original idea. That's a good question, because I think that's really what I had a problem with when I started making animations, because my first animation idea, as soon as I realized stop motion was a thing, I was like, I'm gonna make this like 20-minute super cinematic medieval brick film with like this knight, and I'm gonna make my own music for it. That didn't come till later, but I'm gonna like make this super cinematic. I just imagine like this super golden color grade with like this backlighting and like this big staircase that the knight walks down. Super cinematic. Needless to say, I never got to that because I realized really quickly the quality of my animations. So I realized, maybe when I get better, I'll do this. And yeah, I'm better now, and I don't really want to do it because there was no story in the first place. It was just like night, medieval, cinematic, 20-minute long brick film. Like, there's nothing to add to that. So, yeah. One of these days I do want to do a medieval film, but not anytime soon. Not anytime soon, I don't think. But to answer your question, I would say just try to like define the core of your story. Like, is the message of your story, let's say you blew this idea up into, like, I don't know, let's say like there's 40 superheroes battling it out. It's like Avengers, Infinity War, or whatever it's called. Endgame. I don't know. You can tell how much I know about Avengers, but it's like, 20 versus 20 superhero battle conflict as the like the final battle of the film, and there's all this stuff that goes on, character arcs and all that stuff that takes a long time to build, and it's not realistic for 2-minute animation. I would just say just like take your idea and just go straight to the core of it and ask, okay, what's the overall story here, right? Like, okay, I have 20 superheroes versus 20 other superheroes battling it out. What's the premise of this? Like, what's the moral here? What if it's like whatever moral you could think of for 40 superheroes fighting each other? Like, what's the moral here? What message am I trying to get across here? Or what's the overall story? Is it like a Civil War type ordeal? Okay, well, you can do that with just 4 people and they just have conflict with each other. Or you can do that with 2 people and just make it more heavy on character development and stuff like that. I get you want to make big animations. I think we all do deep down. Like, that's just cool. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't take much to tell a story. It doesn't take much. Like, just think of like super low budget films that are actually really good versus like $100 million Hollywood studio stuff that it's like, did you even consider the moral of your story? Oh, you didn't? Oh, okay. Excuse me. Anyways, like it doesn't take much to make a good animation. As long as you have a good story, you don't have to worry about blowing it up and making it this big thing. I think the main reason we want to make big animations is because we feel like the animations we make now just aren't good enough. Am I wrong here? Like we feel like we're working up to something big, and we could be. But I feel like you can tell a big story in a little 2-minute, 3-character animation. It doesn't take much. So what I want you to do is just like take this big idea you have, you blew it up to this big ordeal. Look at your key characters, say like, okay, are these characters actually important? Like, or are they just fun to watch? Are they just interesting and are just going to cause me a lot more hours of animation and a lot more pieces to build the set that I don't have? Like, do I really need this character? Is he really that important to the story? Okay, I can rework the story that, gets rid of this character. And if characters aren't a problem, maybe it's your scenes. Maybe you have too ambitious of scenes. I mean, you can go for like the green screen route and try to... I'm not going to try to pretend that I know how to do that. I've tried to figure it out, but I don't know how you can... You can make like 3D sets off of Mechabrick and then like green screen it, but I've yet to actually figure out how to do that properly. But I wouldn't advise it unless you really want to. I mean, that's fine. But if you don't have many Legos, let's say you have like small sets that you can make, just like build a story around smaller sets. Can you tell the same story, but without this big old hunk of a set? You got this little cabin or something. Like, can you rework the story to work without like bunches of hours and Legos and just stuff that you're not ready for yet? I don't know. It all depends on the story. But I would say just strip your idea down to the very core and build it off of there in a small scale. And if you have an idea for like, oh, I can make this bigger by doing this, just stop yourself and go, is it worth it? Is it really worth it? You know, I'm animating for the Iron Squad. It's like 10 minutes long, and that's probably the longest I would ever make a break film. It was originally supposed to be like 8 minutes, but now it's 10 minutes because we had more jokes to put in there. Like, if you have an extra joke to put in, just put it in. That's fine. It's not going to double your workload time for this animation project, but yeah. It all depends on what you're willing to do, on what you're able to do with what you got. But yeah, keep it simple and go from there. That's what I got to say for that. I hope that helped. All right, the last question we have is from Brick Treasure. He asked, how long does it take for each video you make to edit, film, and post? Also, what about shorts? Let's see. It ranges a lot. I can make a brick film like Smiley Face Dude or Super Sophisticated Super Guy in about 1 to 3 months is usually how long it takes. That may or may not include the actual idea, getting the idea for the film and all of that, but we'll just leave that to the side. The actual production from start to finish is about 1 to 3 months depending. For other videos, like say my tutorials, like this last tutorial took me like 2 months to make. I wasn't like working hours a day on it, but it just took too long. Yeah, I don't want to do that again. That was just way too long. But let's see, brick films, tutorials, challenge videos. Let's see, challenge videos. Those take me around a month from like idea to finish. Yeah, around idea to finish. Takes me around a month and a half, something like that. And am I missing anything? Yeah, that's about it. It all ranges around a month or two, I would say. And for shorts, I really just take clips from my videos, like say a tutorial I just did. I just made it into 5 different shorts by just cutting it, putting new text over it, putting some captions on it, and repurposing it into a short. That way I don't have to make a dedicated video just for a short, because I don't want to be a shorts channel. I want to be a video channel. But yeah, it doesn't, considering that, just editing the video and putting it into a short, it takes like 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Especially if I'm like batching like 5 shorts from one video, it just takes like 2 hours from, clipping it to titling it and, posting it for all 5 of them. I'd say it took me around 2-3 hours. And that was semi-focused work. There's a difference between focused work and kind of focused work where you're doing other stuff. But yeah, that's pretty much it. It takes a while to make a good animation. Like, it takes at least a month. Unless I take that back. I can't say that for everybody because I'm still working on being more efficient with my animations. Still working on that. I'll get there one of these days. But yeah, it usually takes a little bit. But yeah, that's all the questions we got for this podcast. I'm actually really surprised I answered all of them. I thought we had to put some over for the next episode, but I somehow managed to speed through them, so that's pretty cool. With that said, before you go, don't forget to pick up that animation setup checklist in the description. It'll be my Substack. So yeah, Substack link. It's my email, doohickey. All you gotta do is subscribe to that, and you will be sent the animation setup checklist along with weekly animation tips to help you improve every single week. So if you're interested in that, be sure to click the link down in the description. And with that said, also, if you have any questions for the next episode of the podcast, be sure to drop them down in the comments, and I will be sure to answer them. Unless they're really, really not great questions, which they typically are, so I'll more than likely answer them. With that said, thank you so much for watching, God bless you, and have an awesome rest of your day.